On February 7, 1977, around 11:21 p.m., the Colorado Springs Police Department received a call about someone who had taken her own life at an apartment in the 5400 block of North Nevada Avenue in Colorado. When officers arrived, they discovered the body of a woman named Maria Lorraine Hansel. She was dressed in a blue jumpsuit and had suffered several stab wounds to her chest and neck. Sadly, Maria was pronounced dead at the scene. Dwight Havercorn, one of the first detectives from the Colorado Springs Police Department to arrive at the scene, recounts his memories of that night decades later.
I know the one thing that was surprised us all is that she looked like she was probably in her mid-20s. At that time, I was about 30. And after we found out she was 14, we were just dumbfounded.
But who would commit such a terrible crime against someone so young? And why? Would Maria's loved ones ever receive the justice they longed for? Maria Lorraine Hansel was born on March 23, 1962, in Tyler, Texas, to Glenn David Hansel Sr. and Eva Marie Georges Hansel.
She had such a good zest for life, and yeah, so I loved her dearly. She was just a wonderful, wonderful friend and such a neat personality.
Maria's childhood best friend, Kathy Moberly Taylor, fondly remembers her as someone who always had a smile on her face, even on the toughest days.
Skipped a lot, you know. She never really walked or ran. She skipped.
Maria was the middle child among 7 siblings and suffered a sudden loss when her mother Eva passed away due to a heart condition in December of 1976. Eva's death left a significant void in her life.
She wanted kids. Lots of kids. And so did I. We talked about a dozen each.
Despite the tragic event, Maria took on a motherly role, especially for her sister Erica, who was just 6 years old.
Even at such a young age, I had a maternal instinct about her that was ever present. So many friends, people that were just drawn to her.
On the fateful night of February 7th, 1977, Janie Kozleka, who lived in the Suncrest apartment complex at the northern edge of Colorado Springs, North Nevada, with her 2 sons, age 8 and 6, asked 14-year-old Maria, who lived near their house, if she could babysit that evening. Maria agreed and then called her best friend Kathy to join her. But Kathy's mother refused, because Kathy had to attend the school that night. It was the last phone call Kathy had with Maria, and she will never forget.
She said that I love these kids and I'm babysitting, and then she said, I better get going. She said, I love you, and I said, I love you too.
Unbeknownst to Kathy, it would be the final time she would hear Maria's voice. After dinner, Maria visited Janie's apartment to babysit her 2 kids between 8:30 and 9 p.m. Janie called home and spoke with Maria, noticing nothing unusual. Janie arrived home at 11:15 p.m. and found nothing out of place, nothing missing. However, what awaited her in the master bedroom would haunt her forever. There, she found Maria's lifeless body. Shocked, she immediately called the police, and within minutes, they arrived. The El Paso County Coroner's Office conducted an autopsy and reported that Maria had sustained multiple stab wounds to the chest and neck. It was determined that her death was a homicide.
The amount of stab wounds that she actually had, they literally had to have a scarf around her neck.
Neither of Janie's sons were harmed, and the police found no signs of a break-in or forced entry. The police believe this indicated that Maria knew her killer, or at least was comfortable letting him into the apartment. Maria's body showed no signs of assault, but police suspected the murderer was sexually motivated to harm her. They investigated Maria's friends and any possible boyfriends. However, this line of investigation did not result in an arrest. When the police questioned Janie's sons, they provided a vital clue. Janie's eldest son testified that on the night of the murder, he had gotten out of bed and seen a young man in the apartment. The man appeared slightly older than Maria, maybe in his late teens, and was approximately 6 feet tall. He was white with scruffy hair and acne, and wore a fluffy blue jacket, jeans, and black sneakers. The boy saw the man putting his hand over Maria's mouth as she screamed, "Stop it!" several times. They went to the master bedroom, and the boy returned to bed.
It'd be pretty hard for young children to have to witness something like that. And that's just not right.
The Colorado Springs Police Department had one promising suspect, although he was never publicly identified. He was arrested in Rhode Island shortly after Maria's murder for the murder of another girl. At the time of Maria's death, he had been living in Colorado Springs, but left the city shortly afterward. However, there was never enough evidence to charge him. Although a suspect had not been identified initially, the Colorado Springs Police Department, or CSPD, conducted a thorough investigation, including numerous interviews, reports, and evidence collection. Aside from Janie's son's witness statement, there were no more leads, and the investigation went cold for decades.
She was robbed. We were all robbed and left, with the wound that is still incredibly wide open. There has been no closure. There is no closure.
In the mid-2010s, with advancements in DNA technology, several items of evidence were submitted to the Colorado Bureau of Investigation for further scientific analysis. A male DNA profile was developed from a bloodstain on Maria Hansel's clothing. They have obtained and submitted samples from various potential suspects and compared them to the Combined DNA Index System, or CODIS, but found no match that could lead to the suspect, and the case went cold.
I think that maybe there was something that they could get that off of if they decided to run this case back through for processing, just to see if something came up. I'm very sorry that we weren't able to solve this thing back at the time it occurred.
Kathy Moberly Taylor, Maria's best friend, was no stranger to Evergreen Cemetery, having visited for decades.
I'm thinking about over 40 years. And I do the 4 seasons, spring, summer, winter, and fall.
Every few months, Kathy visited the cemetery to lay flowers at various loved ones' graves. But one grave was particularly significant to her. She paid tribute to Maria by placing flowers on a tree growing near her grave.
This tree with big, big thorns is growing where Maria's at. And I'm like, so anyway, I started using it just to decorate.
Maria used to have a tombstone that read, "Our Little Angel," but her family said it was removed in 1987 after her father passed away and could no longer make the payments.
A precious, innocent child was stabbed to death, brutally stabbed to death for no reason, and not to have a stone is just devastating, and I've been too poor to put one on.
Maria's nephew, Zach, he has not yet been born when his aunt was murdered, but he has witnessed how deeply her death has affected his entire family. Now he aims to raise funds to provide Maria with a proper tombstone, replacing the makeshift memorial they have temporarily set up.
It would give us somewhere for the little bit of closure that we do have. I mean, we don't have closure on the case, but at least we would have some place to go and pay our dues.
The community quickly came together and generously donated funds to help Maria's family raise enough money to place a headstone 45 years after her death.
It brought tears to my eyes. I was so happy, and I came out and I hugged each stone and had my mom take pictures, and it's just, yeah, it's just so beautiful.
Kathy could hardly believe when she saw the new stone for the first time. Maria's friends and family regarded this as a significant step towards closure.
Find the person who killed Maria, and I will never understand why and who could be so angry to do that. But I have peace now, and her having a stone, something that I've really wanted for many years. So thank you.
Over the years, David Hansel, Maria's brother, consistently advocated for justice for his beloved sister.
Every 2 weeks, a month, however many times he called her if he had questions, and you want to provide an answer. You want to tell them, I've got this.
Detective Tracy Thompson, the detective leading the renewed investigation, remains steadfast in her determination to solve this long-standing cold case. In 2019, the Colorado Springs Police Department enlisted the expertise of Parabon Nanolabs to conduct genetic genealogy DNA analysis using public commercial DNA databases. The blood found on Maria's blue jumpsuit was submitted for genetic genealogy research through Parabon. In the investigation of Maria Hansel's homicide, Parabon utilized the genetic data profile from the unknown DNA sample collected from the jumpsuit to search public genetic genealogy databases for potential matches. These matches were used to build family trees, tracing back to possible common ancestors. By looking through the descendants, they were able to identify suspects.
It down to where they will naturally fall in the family tree, and then you see, biological parents, step parents, children who had children, and those type of things.
Through extensive research, a person of interest was identified. William Charles Kernan, Jr., also known as Bill Kernan. Mr. Kernan was identified as a local college student and an acquaintance of the woman Maria had been babysitting for on the night of her murder. Further investigation revealed Mr. Kernan had visited the apartment complex on previous occasions.
When the genetic genealogy came together and I was able to approach Mr. Hansel, it was an amazing feeling, and just hearing him and his, I would say, relief or thankfulness, it's heartwarming.
CSPD detectives presented Mr. Kernan's genetic genealogy results to the 4th Judicial District Attorney's Office for review. After completing the review, the District Attorney's Office concluded that William C. Kernan, Jr. was responsible for Maria Hansel's murder.
Say they don't believe Kernan knew Maria Hansel. Police say that Kernan died in 2010 of natural causes, and now the case is officially closed.
Unfortunately, justice could not be dispensed, as Kernan had died on August 7, 2010 at the age of 61, due to natural causes. However, the fact that his DNA could not be analyzed due to cremation without living relatives, no arrest could be made. In lieu of this, the investigation into Maria Hansel's murder was closed in 2024. Numerous units and agencies, including the 4th Judicial District Attorney's Office, the Colorado Bureau of Investigation, and Parabon Nanolabs, provided invaluable investigative assistance in this case over the years. David Hansel's determination to never give up, matched by the relentless efforts of the police, ultimately brought closure to the case.
I'm happy and I'm sad at the same time because, the grief that the family feels, you can't fix that. You can get that one little bit of piece of information or lead to move forward in that case.
For over 47 years, Maria Hansel's family and friends waited for justice.
Apartment. I've been on the phone probably once a week for the last 5 years calling, and they've come through for us. I hope for other families it can be the same way.
Even though the motive behind Maria's killing remains unknown, we hope they have found some form of closure with the identification of the perpetrator. The absence of a trial and appropriate punishment for the killer left Maria's loved ones unsettled. But David believed Maria could finally find peace.
To Maria, sorry, you can rest in peace.